in one of the years, for some reason, I thought I had to get all the LRDs. And then I crashed so badly. This was in 2020, just because of the pressure that I wanted to solve all the sets correct. Okay, that pressure made me crash so badly.
There is a notion that we have to give a sectional each and every day from the start of October to November. What's your take on that? Do aspirants really have to give a sectional each and every day?
Sectionals, I would say, you have to strike him a kite. If they're doing that, I'm sure, okay, they will get at least 1 or 2 questions correct.
So many aspirants will hit the panic button while they face LRDA section in general.
So many aspirants. And I figured out that some people don't follow the advice I gave.
Next question. I think this is the most dreaded question for each and every CAT aspirant.
Okay.
So, 270,000 people who are appearing to the exam out of 3 lakh people are not able to solve even 5 questions in the Quant section. Is Quant really that difficult?
Your mindset on the day of the examination also matters. Okay, and that mindset is not something that you can switch on that particular day. Okay, you should be thinking about the examination, that mindset, all of those things. So how can you get the peak performance out of yourself on that day of the examination? Okay. In these last 50 days, you have to divide it into 2 parts for you to do well in the examination. Okay.
Hi sir, my name is Keshav, and as you know that I am a mentor here, and so I thought that I pulled some very important and most repeated questions from the aspirants. So it would be very helpful for them if you can answer the questions through your experience. Okay sir, first question. So as there are only few days left for the actual D-Day, so are there any certain things that one can do to actually maximize their score?
Okay, good question. What I would say is there are a couple of things I want to remember. Okay. In these last 50 days, you have to divide it into 2 parts for you to do well in the examination. Okay. Your mindset on the day of the examination also matters. Okay. And that mindset is not something that you can switch on that particular day. Okay. You have to think about it. You have to, people say, no, you have to picture yourself playing this. Okay. Like if you are watching any of the cricket days or football days, they picture themselves playing there. So it is something that you also should feel that how would you feel on that day? You should try to relive that experience beforehand. Okay. Multiple days. So you should get into that zone. For me, I try to start getting into that zone 2 weeks before the examination, which is what I would recommend people also do. You don't want to like panic too much and get into that zone much earlier because you'll get burnt out. But you should start thinking about it, and you should want to keep your mindset also like about the examination. Okay, in the sense that in the last 2 weeks, we can again discuss what to do in those last 2 weeks. But in the last 2 weeks, it should not happen that you are getting distracted or you're getting agitated. For sure, picking up a fight. I try to avoid any confrontation in the last 2 weeks. Okay. I try not to have any big arguments because all of these things matter. No? They will affect your mindset. Okay. Which I feel if I have any confrontation, a serious confrontation, okay, I think about it. My mood is upset for like at least for a few hours. Correct? Now I feel it will continue to affect me. So in the last 2 weeks, I try to ensure that I'm just happy, peaceful. That is something that I would want people to think about. That is the first part.
Exactly.
With respect to the exam, so you should be thinking about the examination, that mindset, all of those things. So how can you get the peak performance out of yourself on that day of the examination? Okay. The second thing is with respect to preparation. In these last 50 days, I would say that try to look for the lowest hanging fruit. Okay. Whatever is the area where you are completely poor at. Okay. If you put in like a few hours into it, you will be getting the easiest marks. For example, if somebody is extremely weak at geometry, they don't know anything in geometry, is you. But say they mug up like say 10 formulas and they know the application of 10 formulas. So they mug up 10 formulas and for each formula they solve 4 or 5 questions based on that formula. That's it.
Okay.
How much time will it take? If you really think about it, it will take hardly 4 or 5 hours.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Now, if they're doing that, I'm sure, okay, they will get at least 1 or 2 questions correct.
Exactly. Yeah.
So in those 5 hours, they are going to get like say 4 to 5 marks based on the effort that they're putting in 5 hours.
Yeah.
Now, this is true if you're assuming that somebody is completely weak at geometry, okay, or some topic. So I would advise that first try to finish all the syllabus. By try to finish all the syllabus, if a very easy question comes from any of the topics, you should be able to answer it. This is per point. Okay, if there is a very easy question in say number systems, it should not happen that you don't know anything about number systems and then you are completely mescator. Okay.
Yeah.
So the point of covering the entire syllabus is if a very easy question comes, you should be able to answer it.
Exactly. Yeah.
The second thing is in the areas that are important in Quant, for example, you should try to practice a lot. Like in arithmetic, algebra, geometry that we discussed about, I wanted to practice a lot. Same for LRDR. Even for verbal, where I would want them to solve a lot of questions because I want them on the day of the examination to feel confident. if you just watch videos or if you're doing just passive learning, this is what I call passive learning. If they're just watching some video or if they're reading a book which is theoretical, okay, they're not solving the questions, that I would consider passive reading. Because at that point of time, on the day of the examination, even if you know how to answer the question, even if you answer the question, you will not feel confident about it.
Exactly. Yeah.
You'll feel confident only if you solve questions now.
Exactly.
And that confidence itself will propel your score quite a lot. Okay. I can again tell you why that happens. Because say in a quant question, you answer the question. Okay. You feel it is correct, but you're not confident about it. Then you cross-check multiple decks. And even if you go to the next question, you are still thinking about the question. You are feeling, okay, is it correct? Is it not correct? Okay. All of these things will slow you down. But suppose you practice a lot, okay, if you solve a lot and a question comes which you know you solved it correct, okay, you suddenly feel slightly more happier, slightly more confident.
Exactly, sir.
And that will replicate even in the rest of the examination. That is why I would say at this point of time, do two things. Solve as many questions as you can, okay, and keep thinking of the examination and try to introspect, try to figure out what will get the best out of yourself on the day of the examination.
That's a really genuine advice, sir. And so, as you mentioned about the key factor called burnout. So, generally, October and November is the test taking season for CAT aspirants. So, what should be the aspirants' test taking strategy, and how many sectionals or mocks, a rough number would be great?
Again, my answer is it depends on person to person. Okay, there is nothing which is like common for all, because again I talked to so many aspirants and I figured out that some people don't follow the advice I gave. Okay, but it is good for them. I liked it. Okay, because they have figured what brings the best out of them and they are following a different strategy. But that is good. I feel that is very good and that's very welcome. So it is not like okay, you have to do this or you have to do that. But for somebody say who is a fresher or who is not sure of what to do, okay, or what brings the best out of them, what I would tell them is I want you to take one mock, okay, every week in October. Because the examination is on November 30th, you still have some time. Maybe continue to take one mock every week till say around November 5th or so. After that, try to take two mocks every week till November 20th. And after November 20th, maybe I want you to take just one mock, one or two.
Okay.
So, because that is what I, based on the limited time you have, that I think is the best thing that you can do.
Exactly.
I don't want any person to take one mock every day or one mock every 2 days, because then you can get burnt out. The second thing is when you're taking a mock, that mock should have some stature. Okay, you in your own right, it should be important, because I want you to give a mock or at least delude yourself into thinking that that mock is the actual examination.
No, yeah.
So when you're starting a mock, sit in front of the laptop, tell yourself that this is the actual examination. I'm sitting in this examination center and there are so many people around me. Okay, I reached the examination center and the exam is going to start in 10 minutes. Try to relive that moment multiple times. And it helps quite a lot. I know that I've talked to so many people who have done it. I know that it helps. Okay, where you are, basically you're preparing yourself for the examination. Okay, and your mind will believe it. Okay, you just do it 3-4 times, your mind will actually believe it. And after that, when you're taking the examination, try to give the best that you can. Don't give up in the middle. Okay, that is again important, because on the day of the examination, I want students to do their best. So if you're taking mocks slightly casually, it can so happen that say you messed up verbal and you know that you messed up verbal, or say you messed up LRR, then you won't give that best whatever you can do.
Sure.
Because you know that, okay, fine, anyways, the mock is not going.
Yeah.
But that is not good. No? You have to give your best, because even that survival instinct of giving your best in the last second is something which I would say is a habit. So if you are habituated to it, you will perform that even on the day of the examination. So that's why I'd say don't take too many mocks, because if you're taking too many mocks, you can become casual about mocks, and that won't help you. Okay, every mock should have some respect. You should feel that okay, this is an important mock. I have to give my best, and you should try to give your absolute best, even when things are not going well. Then you will replicate that on the day of the exam.
Exactly.
So I would say one mock every week, maybe 1 or 2 mocks. It depends on person to person. Sectionals, I would say you can be slightly more casual, because sectionals I want you to take just to solve so many questions, have better time management, have a exam taking strategy. For example, people ask me, should they take RCs first or verbal first? All of these things, you can figure it out based on what is working for you. But to figure it out, you have to take multiple sectionals. So those kind of sections also you can take more. I would say maybe 3-4 sections a week also is completely fine, no issue. But longs, I would say try to make it secret. Try to give them the respect that they deserve. Try to take lesser number of mocks, but ensure that you are giving every mock with full seriousness.
Exactly. So adding to that last point you mentioned, so there is a notion that we have to give a sectional each and every day from the start of October to November. What's your take on that? Do aspirants really have to give a sectional each and every day?
I would say there is nothing wrong with doing that. Okay. But again, it is not a must and should. Because again, why are you taking a mock or a sectional? Okay, the whole point of taking mock is trying to figure out what is it that you're lacking and trying to improve. Like I told you earlier, you have to try to figure out what is your lowest and improve. What is the one area where you're weakest at? Because that is very helpful for you to gain the quickest marks. Okay. For that reason, you have to take mocks. Sectionals, I would say you should take because you want to figure out exam picking strategies or maybe just solve more questions. Some people tell me that when I'm taking a sectional, I'm very like serious, or when I'm taking a mock, I'm very serious. Okay. So I get to solve more questions quickly. If I'm just solving questions on my own, I'm slightly distracted after 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So that is the reason they told me that they take a lot of sections. I thought that also is fine. At the end of the day, you have to solve questions. So if you're taking sectionals to solve questions, that also is fine with me. So I would say there is nothing wrong with taking one sectional every day. Absolutely nothing wrong. Even if you're not taking one section every day, but solving a lot of questions, that also is fine. So it is independent of that.
So, okay, sir. Next question would be, so let's continue the discussion about mocks and mocks taking strategy. So the main problem that so many aspirants face is that, let's say their actual score in the mock is 50 or 55, but after analyzing it thoroughly, they realize that their potential score is actually above 75 and 80. So they think that, yeah, I should have done this question, I should have marked the answer. So there has been a gap of at least 10 to 20 marks for each and every aspirant. So how do we actually bridge this gap, and what things can be done to actually bridge this gap?
See, one thing I would say is what matters at the end is what is the actual score. That's
Exactly.
what it is. Now, you should also give leeway for scoring lesser than your potential. Okay. Because nobody is perfect, right? On the day of the examination, you will make silly mistakes. Okay. Even on the day of the exam, if you don't make silly mistakes, that's great. Okay. On the day of the examination, if you get a perfect attempt, which can happen sometimes. Okay. But it is there. Even on the day of the examination, when I come out also, I feel okay. I realize that, okay, 2-3 questions, I make some very silly mistakes. Okay. That also I feel. So there is always a difference between potential and the actual score. What we should try to do is minimize it. Okay. When you're trying to minimize it, there are like these strategies that I tell, which I think many of the mentors also tell, which if you follow, the potential score or the best possible score to what you're actually scoring will decrease. Second thing I would also say is, if the gap is quite a lot, where you feel that there are so many questions which I could have easily scored, but I'm not scoring, then you have to again identify what is the reason for it. Is the reason that you're nervous? Is the reason that you're slightly casual? Is it that you're making many silly mistakes? What exactly is the reason is something that you have to identify and perform. The point is, CAT examination, which is proven most of the competitive exams also, is a very individual thing. You have to like thinking about it. You have to figure out what is it that you're lacking. Okay. And the more you think about it, the better you get. This again I've seen so many people do. So I'm sure that this can be improved.
Yeah. So, okay, let's dive deep into each and every aspect of sections. So many aspirants will hit the panic button while they face LRDA section in general. So what happens is that I get so many questions that when LRDA section start, they will instantly hit the panic button. Like they are not able to pick the easy set. Even if, let's say, for example, a person or a candidate who has puzzles or arrangements has a strong zone, even if he picked that set in the actual mock or actual exam, he was not able to solve that set because of the time pressure. So how do we reduce this panic, and how to like get into that zone of exam mode while facing LRDA section?
Okay. I'll tell you, in my experience, even I panic. And I figured out some ways in which I can reduce the panic. Okay. One of the things is, when panic starts, now I can identify. Okay. Now I can identify that, okay, I'm getting panicky. So I tell my mind to not think. Okay. Because the more I think, okay, of the consequences, okay, now, okay, I'm stuck on this set for 5 minutes. Now I have only 35 minutes left. Okay. Or 30 minutes left. I don't have enough time for the next 2 months. Even if I answer the next 2 sets, okay, I won't be able to score a lot of marks. The more I keep thinking about all of these things, okay, it is not helpful, and it will be like a spider. Okay. And it has happened to me multiple times. So, but now I can identify. When I know that, okay, my mind is thinking too much, or it is saying too much, okay, I can immediately like that. And then I can just ask it to shut down. And basically, I just don't think. Okay. I just ask it to just calm down. Okay. Say nothing. Let me just solve this set. Okay. That I know how to just ask it to shut up. Okay. And it doesn't say anything. Then I focus on the set. That I think is the first thing. The second thing I also figured out for myself is, I try to set my expectations from LRDA. Okay. Look. Okay. My expectations of scoring well are from Quant and Bubble. Okay. And if I do well in LRDA, that's fantastic. Okay. It is not the case. But I realized in my experience that if I'm setting high targets for myself, the chances of me panicking are much more.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if I tell myself that earlier we used to have 4 sets, okay, In the 4 sets, I used to tell myself, I have to get one set correct. Okay. I have to solve one set properly. And the second set, I should mostly get correct. Because there are some sets where you are not sure whether you got it correct or not. And I always used to tell myself, but if I can get 2 sets correct, okay, I'm definitely scoring very good. Okay. And I can manage everything else in verbal and quant. That was my strategy. The reason I came to that conclusion also was because, like I mentioned in many of my streets, in one of the years, for some reason, I thought I had to get all the LRDs instead. And then I crashed so badly. This was in 2020, just because of the pressure that I wanted to solve all the sets correct. Okay. That pressure made me crash so badly. Somehow I sandwiched section in the last couple of minutes. I made a video on it also. I'll give the link for that. Okay. But after that, I realized that putting that pressure on myself won't work at all for LRDA. Okay. Because LRDA, if you panic, it is going to just go terribly bad. So from then on, what I told myself is I have to tell myself that, okay, 4 sets is not needed. You can solve and you can do well by getting 2 sets correct. But once I tell myself that I just need 2 sets, I'm much more calmer. Okay. And even if I mess up one of the sets, it is okay. And sometimes I underperform in LRA also, where I think if I just push myself slightly more, okay, maybe like psych myself out slightly more, maybe I could have done slightly more. But I felt it is very risky. So I don't want to do it. Okay. So I always tell myself that I have to get 2 sets correct. Now that we expect 5 sets to come in LRDA, okay, maybe I'll tell myself that I have to get 2 sets correct and partially I should solve the 3rd set. If I do better than that, it's always good. Okay. And if, because I was not in slot 1 for the last few years, by the time my exam comes, there is at least some news about whether this paper is easy or difficult. This will be much worse for slot 1 people because they're entering without any information. For them, especially, I'll say that keep your expectations low. But on the day of the examination, if you're getting one or sets correct quickly, try to be hungry at that time. Especially after you get one set correct. Now you know that you won't panic, or at least then you can try to be ambitious. But when you're entering the examination hall for LRBA, keep your expectations low.
So it's all about the mental game and mental aspect.
100%.
Right. Okay. The next question.
So again, this comes back to what I was saying at the start. Okay?
Exactly.
You should be mentally prepared, okay, to give it the best that you can. And nobody knows that, okay? You only have to figure out what will bring the best out of you.
So, okay, let's talk about the most scoring section for most of the candidates, VARC. So, most of the candidates were still figuring out the way to attempt VARC section. So, is there any optimal way or strategy to actually attempt VARC?
Okay, first I'll tell you one common mistake that people make in VARC. After that, I'll tell you my strategy and people can use it. Okay. So one common mistake that I notice in students is not attempting a lot of VA questions or VARC questions. Okay. When there are 24 questions in VARC, so many people, so many even toppers, okay, or people who are aiming to go into some of the big institutes, they tell me that, okay, they are able to attempt only say 15 questions or 16 questions. That I would say is pretty, like, that is not good. I can explain why that is the case. Because if you are not attempting all the questions in quant, I can understand it. Because in quant, if you solve a question, you know immediately whether it is correct or not. And if you don't spend time on it, you are going to get it wrong with like 100% accuracy or at least 70% accuracy. Okay? There is no midway. There is no gray zone. In verbal, on the other hand, even if you spend time on it, it won't mean that you are definitely getting it correct. Okay. Very few people can actually get 100% accuracy. That's not happening, right? So that being said, what matters is, say you attempt 17 questions with 80% accuracy. But on the other hand, if you spend lesser time on each of the questions, but you attempt 24 questions with say 60% accuracy, I would say that the latter is definitely better.
Exactly, yeah.
Many people, especially people who are looking to go into a top institute, if they come and tell me that, okay, sir, I'm attempting only 16 questions, I would say your exam taking strategy is not good. You should know very clearly that, for example, if I was telling you that there is an RC and I'm stuck in it, okay, and I feel that, okay, I lost my chain of thought or I'm not able to concentrate, so I have to read the RC multiple times. I would not read it after the second time. Then I would say, okay, I understood it somewhat. Okay, based on whatever understanding I have, I'm going to mark an option and go ahead.
Exactly.
Because I'm making a trade-off. I'm saying that, okay, my accuracy in this particular RC might go down a little. Okay, but at least I'm saving time. This is a option you won't have in quant or LRDA, where you can't just mark something roughly and then go ahead. Okay, because then your accuracy will tremendously drop. In verbal, on the other hand, it might drop from 80% to 60%, which is okay. Okay, but it makes so much sense for you to attempt all the questions. That is one thing I would say. Now, coming to what my strategy is in verbal, I won't attempt all the 24 questions. And I always advise all the serious aspirants, people who are looking to score above 95 percentile, to definitely attempt all the questions in verbal. Okay, it is such a obvious strategy, okay, that people should definitely do it. One thing I would again say before I continue is, when people are habituated to attempting 15 questions or 16 questions in a mock, okay, and then they listen to my advice and they attempt 24 questions, they feel a sudden drop in their accuracy.
Surely, yeah.
That is expected. But the thing is, your mind also is flexible. After a couple of mocks or after the third mock, you will realize that you're able to answer questions faster. Your accuracy will come back up. It might not come back up to 80% or 90%, which might have been earlier, but it will become pretty respectable, and you will also notice that your scores also have improved, your overall scores, which is what we are interested in, not in your accuracy, right? You are interested in the total marks. That would be my first suggestion. The second suggestion is with respect to exam taking strategy. In verbal, I'll tell you what I do. Okay, I first attempt 2 RCs, then I attempt 4 verbal questions, then I go back, attempt third RC, then I come back, finish the verbal questions, and finally attempt the last RC.
Okay, yeah.
There is a reason for this also. My reason is RCs for me take a lot of mental effort. Okay, I have to concentrate a lot. So I feel slightly drained after I attempt an RC. And I feel that after 2 RCs, if I'm attempting the third RC quickly, then my accuracy might suffer.
Okay, yeah.
So after 2 RCs, if I'm taking a small break, so to say, and attempt verbal questions, verbal, I would say, is slightly less intense.
Exactly, yeah.
So if I'm attempting a verbal question, and even if I feel that, okay, I again lost my chain of thought or I'm not able to concentrate properly, it will only affect one question. Then I will again mark something and go to the next one, and in the second verbal question, I'll put in more effort. So I get a small break, my accuracy will suffer only in one question, and I'm again back. Okay, this is basically the reason I do verbal questions in between RCs, because they are slightly less intense. This is my strategy. And one more thing I would tell you is, in the last RC that I attempt, okay, I try to either finish it quickly so that I have 2-3 minutes left, okay, before the LRD starts. But if for whatever reason, if I'm slow, then I try to again I try not to get very intense in my concentration for the last RC, because again I'm willing to sacrifice one RC's accuracy to do well in LRD.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because if I do something to salvage the verbal section, and that would definitely impact the start I have in LRDA.
Okay, yeah.
And that would impact the entire LRDA section, which for me is always make or break. So that is the reason in the last RC I am slightly casual or I have a lot of time. Okay.
So, okay, sir. So coming to quant section.
Mhm.
So I have a very interesting stat or a fact regarding the quant section. So if we look at the trends for the past 3 or 4 years, the 90 percentile in quants, it is around 14 to 17 marks from the past 3-4 years. So if we do the math, approximately 2,70,000 people who are appearing to the exam out of 3 lakh people are not able to solve even 5 questions in the quant section. That is what the stats say. So why is that happening? Is quant really that difficult, or is it the fault of people who are attending the paper?
No, there are two things. One, even though 2.7 lakh or 2.8 lakh people attempt the examination, how many of them are CES is definitely in doubt. Okay. A very optimistic estimate of serious aspirants, very extremely optimistic estimate, is say 75,000. Okay. I would actually say it is much less than that, but best case scenario is 75,000 or maybe 1 lakh. Now, out of that, people, like say, maybe 1/3 of them are scoring 90%, roughly, right? If you're looking at 30,000. The second thing is, people do better, okay, after the examination is over, but on the day of the examination, people underperform. Like we were discussing earlier, on the day of the examination, there will be pressure. Okay, when you're reading a question without the exam pressure, it seems so easy, so obvious. But on the day of the examination, you doubt yourself. You're not super sure. Your mind also keeps wandering here and there. You are also slightly nervous. All of these things matter. So I know that it looks obvious that, okay, 5 questions to aana hi chahiye, but it is possible that they attempted, say, 8 questions, they got 2 questions wrong, and then finally they ended up with 6 questions. Those kind of things happen. So again, this stat is slightly surprising. I would have thought that it would be maybe around 20 to 25 marks, 90%. But yeah, I can believe it. It is not like, because I know that people feel pressure on that day. People underperform on that day. Most people. So it's okay.
So the next question is also regarding the quant section. So we have to accept the fact that there would be some people who are not really good at quant. So let's say the people who are hopeless in quant, like what should be the topics that they should focus on in the last few odd days to actually attempt 8 to 10 questions? Because as per my experience and every past year trends, there would be some sitters, absolute sitters in the actual quant paper. So how to identify them and how to attempt at least 8 to 10 questions, and which topics do we have to focus on?
Okay, good question. You gave me an idea also, which I'll do now. I will create a blog, okay?
Okay.
And I'll give the link of the blog in this video so that people don't have to worry about it, where I will give a list of very easy questions, okay, from CAT 2022, 2023, 2024. Quant questions. Okay. List of amongst in all the slots. Okay. I'll try to figure out the easy questions and I'll put them. Okay. So that somebody who is just starting, somebody who feels that, okay, I'm not understanding anything, they can at least look at those questions. I'll also give the video solutions for them. Okay. In the blog only that will be there. So that they can at least go through all of those questions. Okay. And then they can identify these are the questions and these are the solutions. Okay. That is the first step for absolutely students who are just about starting their preparation. But people who have some experience, some idea, I would say, but still weak at Quant, I would say focus. If that is the case, my suggestion is two things. Try to first identify the easy questions. Okay. So finish the portion at least. So if a very easy question comes, you're able to solve it. Okay. The second thing is, once that is done, focus a lot on arithmetic.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the return on investment on arithmetic is quite a lot. Okay. It is not very difficult. All the sections, all the topics of arithmetic are not very difficult. They might be slightly time consuming, some of the questions, but they're not difficult. Okay. It won't happen that you are not understanding what is given. Okay. Which can happen in some of the other questions. Like say geometry, you might have no clue as to how to solve it. It can also happen in say functions where you don't even understand the question. Those kind of things can happen. But in arithmetic, you are at least sorted where you understand the question. You kind of know how to answer it, but it might be lengthy also. Okay. So I would say focus on arithmetic. Okay. And try to finish all the easy questions. I'll give you the link of all the easy questions in the last 3-4 years in the description of this blog, of this podcast.
Okay. So adding to the last question that present came up. So what are the actual topics like I have took some calls in the mentorship session. So people who are actually weak in Quant, they like underestimate the value of percentages, ratio, and averages, all sort of topics. So how important is these three topics, percentages, ratios, and averages? Because I feel that with these three topics, we can apply these concepts in a lot of arithmetic questions also.
Yeah, that is true. I would say, in general, I would say all the arithmetic topics are, first of all, easy. And their arithmetic as a whole, I think, is very important. You will get at least 1/3 of the questions from arithmetic. Okay, so out of 22, you'll get at least 7 questions from arithmetic. Now, in arithmetic, you will have averages, ratio and proportion, percentages. All of these are basically the building blocks of arithmetic. So once you understand this well, you can do, like you're saying, many of the other topics also well. So I want them to focus on these three. I want them to focus also on time and work, time, speed and distance, simple interest, profit loss. All of these, I think, are basically you can get one question from each one of them.
Exactly.
And they are not difficult questions. They are not difficult topics. So you should be good at them. Yeah. And they are also interrelated.
Yeah. So okay, sir. The next question. I think this is the most dreaded question for each and every CAT aspirant, I guess.
Okay.
So they feel that they have put in a lot of work. They have practiced some 50 odd questions, 60 odd questions from the chapter. But when they go into the mock, they are not able to solve that question which they have practiced itself. So what may be the factors regarding this pattern?
Maybe they're panicking, maybe they're underconfident also. Okay. Now, what I feel is you can gain confidence only by remembering the effort that you put in. That gives you a lot of confidence. And in my experience, what I always notice is I keep a list of all the things that I've done. Okay. For example, if I'm cycling, okay, I used to be pretty good at cycling. So I always used to keep track of how much I cycled on a particular day. And I used to keep a Excel sheet for it. Or I would follow some app or something. Basically, the point is when I look at the data, because we humans tend to forget, no? Like we do it for a few times and we don't remember how much effort we put in. But when I look at either that Excel sheet or on that app, that okay, I've cycled so much, then generally I feel okay, I'm actually doing a very good job. Okay, I'm doing something which is disciplined. Now, I want people also to, if they're following Cracku, they're having the study room or the dash CAD, you should have some dashboard where you know how much effort you put in.
Progress.
Okay. So before taking a mock, you can look at it. You can tell yourself that in the last 1 week, okay, in Quant, I've solved like say 200 questions. I've put in that effort. Okay. Now you tell yourself, reinforce that positive belief in yourself that this much the amount of effort that I put in. And your panic will be lesser. Secondly, like I was telling you, like I keep my expectations low in LRDA. If somebody is panicking in Quant, I would tell them to put their expectations low. Tell yourself that, okay, it's okay. This is the first mock I'm taking in October. So if I can get 3 questions correct in Quant, that's good. Or like we discussed earlier, if somebody is getting 5 questions correct in Quant, it is possible that they'll get 90%.
Yeah.
So just tell themselves that, okay, it's okay. I'll keep my expectations low. 3 questions, 4 questions is fine. Okay.
Yeah.
And then if they're identifying easy questions, they're not going to leave them, right? They'll try to answer them and try to improve their score.
Sir, okay, sir. Coming to final few questions. So this is general questions like what can we expect from CAT 2025? Like we can all agree that from the past 10 years, 2023 CAT is one of the toughest papers that I've ever received from the past 10 to 15 years. people have that preconceived notion of while going into the 2024 exam hall, but we can all agree that 2024 has comparatively lesser difficulty than 2023. So what can we actually expect from CAT 2025? And if you can tell the rough scores that are needed for 95 and 99 percentile, that would help a lot of people to set their goals actually, sir.
I would say don't think of this percentiles and all. Okay, I don't recommend that because that will put more stress on you. Okay, that will put more pressure on you. Your performance will decrease. So I would say don't think of all of these things. 90%, 90%. You have to think of, you will try to get the best out of yourself on the day of the examination. Okay, that is important. Now you will try to maximize the scores that you are going to get in each of the section. You also should be kind to yourself. You should also be telling yourself that I will make some mistakes, but that is fine. Everybody will make mistakes. I'll try not to do the mistakes. I will probably leave some easy questions. That is also fine. Everybody will leave questions. I'm trying to give my best. So be kind to yourself. Don't punish yourself too much. Okay. And try to give the best on that day. Then whatever percentile you get, you'll be happy with that. Now coming to what I expect to be the difficulty level, I would say if you just remove CAT 2023, all the other years difficulty is more or less okay.
Yeah.
It is similar. Okay. You can actually say that the difficulty is slightly getting easier.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. But CAT 2023 was a very like odd one out. I would expect it to remain like that. The odd one out will remain like that. I would expect CAT 2025 also to be similarly difficult as say 2024 or 2022 or the earlier ones. Maybe slight difficult here and there might happen, but I don't expect it to be 2023. It was clearly an odd one out.
So you are saying that the paper may be set for all kind of people, like not only for engineers, like it is set in 2023.
Yeah. Definitely not 2023. I would be very surprised if 2023 repeats. Just to clarify, I would think that it will be similar to how it was in 2022 or 2021 or even 2024. 2024 I feel was slightly easier. Okay, it was because I would feel that 2023 was so bad that they erred on the side of caution. They made the paper slightly easier.
They overcorrected.
Overcorrected. I would say because you can see the scores also. People's percentile also has increased quite a lot. And when we actually put that CAT score calculator, we got a lot of backlash.
Yeah, sir, I remember that. Yeah.
But I could see the data. I was telling people that no, the paper is much easier. Okay, because and now in hindsight, I feel maybe they overcorrected and made it very easy.
Exactly.
So I would expect it to be similar to say 2021 or 2022.
Okay. So let's end the podcast with a final question. So the final question would be from the behalf of 2026 candidates. So
Okay.
what is the piece of advice that you can give to those aspirants who already started their 2026 CAT preparation? And how can they maximize that? Because they still have 14 months left, which is an optimal time to score like very high percentile.
Yeah.
So what can be the piece of advice for 2026 people?
The first thing I would tell is if they've registered for CAT 2025, definitely take it. Okay. 100% take it. Even if you perform very poorly, that is completely fine. Okay, that is so good because you'll have some sort of a benchmark. Many people I know who have registered for CAT 2025 but feel that their preparation is not going too well, postpone their MBA plans and tell themselves that, okay, I'll take CAT in 2026 and don't even give CAT 2025. That I would say is a very bad mistake. Okay, even from an exam taking strategy, okay, standpoint. Next year, on the day of the examination, would you feel better if you had taken the examination 1 year early or not? I would be 100% sure that normally all of us perform better the second time than the first time.
Yes, I'm there.
Right? So just take the examination. However it goes, that experience will help you quite a lot, both in your exam preparation for next year, as well as your exam performance on that particular day. Okay. So it makes no sense for you to not take the examination. And if you're not taking the examination, it is a very defensive move. You're just afraid of failure. So you're not even attempting the examination. And that underconfidence will seep into your preparation also. So I would say face it, take CAT 2025 if you're registered for it. Okay, even if you're preparing for 2026. That is the first thing. The second thing I would say is for CAT 2026 aspirants, try to inculcate good habits, habits which will help you in your CAT preparation. Like try to inculcate a habit of reading. And if you're reading fiction or non-fiction, that is fine. But the kind of reading that I would advise is reading newspaper or a website, okay, news websites. Follow all current affairs, okay. Try to make a list of important websites from which CAT passages come and try to go through them once in a day. Okay, just go to that site, see if there is any article that interests you. Try to read 1 or 2 articles, but try to keep it separate from your CAT preparation. It should not be that, okay, you are preparing, say, in the evening from 8 to 9. Then I don't want you to read any of these articles at that time. Okay. These articles I want you to read when you're having lunch, okay, or when you are on a metro, okay, or when you're commuting to some point where you are just relaxing. But inculcate that habit. The second habit I would say is try to solve Sudokus, try to solve just puzzles. No need of LRDA puzzles. Just buy a puzzle book. There are so many puzzle books, very interesting puzzle books. Many of the Cracku mock LRDI questions also come from these puzzle books. We solve a lot of puzzles in our office, and we feel that okay, this is a nice setup to have a puzzle, LRDI puzzle. So I know how interesting they are. So I would recommend you to inculcate that habit of, or that hobby of, solving puzzles. These two will definitely help you. These two, I think, will be the first step for you in preparing for CAT 2026, which, like you're saying, is ample time away. Okay.
So, okay. Thank you. And that's it for today.
Okay.